Welcome to Big Show Entertainment Network. Super Dave Raines here for Super Dave Raines and the Big Show at a special event on location at the Hyatt Regency in Denver Tech Center for MileHi Con 2016. I'm here with J.A. Campbell, author, and J.A., thanks for coming on the show at MileHi Con 2016. So tell us about your work.
Thanks for having me. I write a lot of young adult fantasy, weird western, steampunk, some sci-fi, and I write some adult fiction as well. I have a thing for animals, so one of my most popular stories is a collection of ghost hunting dog stories told from the dog's point of view. I've got a series about horses that travel to other worlds, things like that.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell us about steampunk.
Steampunk is kind of it's an aesthetic, a genre, a culture. When you walk into a room and you see someone with like the top hat and the Victorian clothes, but they've modified it a little bit to, have gadgets and gizmos that could be functional, maybe are functional, to perform tasks, or you've got your ray guns or whatever. They're actually kind of steampunky, even though you think ray gun sci-fi.
Right.
So you can kind of modify things from other genres and bring them into steampunk. You get the traditional gears and clockwork and stuff like that as well. So that's kind of the aesthetic of what it looks like. The fiction is quite often, you've got your steam aspect of it where technology went along the lines of steam instead of the internal combustion engine.
Right.
And then you've got the punk aspect of it. Usually there's some sort of oppressing force, whether it's government or the company or whatever.
Right. Awesome. So tell me about your favorite book that you've written. How many books have you written, and what are you working on now?
Okay. Let's see. My favorite published book that I've written is probably Saga. It's about a young foal of the Travelers, my teleporting horses that I mentioned. And it's about how she's kidnapped and taken from her people, which is kidnapping, of course.
Right.
Sorry. And raised with the enemy to hopefully forget her past and everything, and one of those sort of. And so she's raised with the enemy to be one of them, and so she's starting to wonder what's going on, where are my people, that sort of thing.
Right.
The boy that she's raised with, they become very good friends, and they're basically inseparable. Yet the boy's parents don't ever actually end up trusting Saga, so there's a lot of conflict there.
Right.
Some of it's in the first book of the trilogy is just them growing up and learning to disguise their knowledge of what they've figured out of her past and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it's a trilogy. The first book is Saga, and it's my favorite. I like the other ones in the trilogy too, but I still like that one the best.
Right. Awesome. So that book is already out, right? Mm-hmm. So what have you got on the runway ready to go?
Well, so I've got Saga, Jarl, which is the second book in the series. I've got some other books that are contemporary travelers books where it's a girl, a modern American teenager who gets thrust into the epic fantasy adventure.
Right.
I've got some urban fantasy, an urban fantasy trilogy about a girl who gets turned into a vampire her senior high school. I've got my ghost hunting dog collections, short stories. Those are weird westerns.
Right.
I've got some steampunk about airship pirates.
Oh, cool.
I've got a bunch of different things. I'm kind of a little eclectic. As long as it's kind of genre, I really enjoy writing it.
Right.
And then what I'm working on right now, I've got a series about a vampire hunting border collie. He uses his border collie eye to control the vampires.
Oh, that's
And then
cool.
the human stakes them.
Wow.
So I'm working on, the first book is done, and I'm currently shopping that around for a home.
Right.
And then I'm working on the second book in that series right now.
Wow, that's really cool. So who inspired you to write? And C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, or J.K. Rowling?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
We ask tough questions here.
It's a good question. Good question. So I'm not really entirely certain who inspired me to write. I just kind of started writing when I was really little.
Right.
I started writing, my first epic was a self-illustrated tale about a bookworm named Willie the Bookworm.
Okay,
Every time
cool.
he read a book, he grew a bead. He read too many books, so he got too big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was like a, I don't know, 4 or 5 year old masterpiece there, right?
Wow, that's awesome.
And then in elementary school, I started writing Nancy Drew knockoffs
Oh, cool.
for class projects and stuff like that. So, that may have been kind of the first real books that I read a lot of, or that my mom read to me, and I
Right.
started writing those sorts of stories. And I started getting into sci-fi and fantasy, so I started writing sci-fi and fantasy.
Right.
One of my favorite authors is Timothy Zahn, and he's been my favorite author for a long time. And
Right.
so I was kind of inspired by his work. Kristen Britton, she writes the Green Rider series, and that kind of inspired me to really write what I wanted to write. Because
Right.
her books have a lot of horses in them.
Right.
And so I wanted that sort of fiction, and so I decided to write that sort of fiction, and it's been going well for me. So it's kind of been a progressive sort of build. I didn't have
Right.
one like real inspiration. Now, quick story though.
Right.
In the 6th grade, my reading teacher was like, "I think you're going to be an author one day."
Oh, wow.
So she kind of planted the seed of the idea that I could actually be an author.
Right.
To me at that time, authors were like these godlike creatures from other planets that just sent us books.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was actually a profession that you could
Yeah.
do. So that was kind of maybe she put the seed that this was something I could actually do other than just for fun.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So we're very pleased and looking forward to following your career. And that sounds like you're off to a really hot start. And wow, you are into a lot of different things. Let me ask you.
I gotta answer the J.K. Rowling question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, of the authors you mentioned, while I love C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, I think I'm going to have to go with Rowling.
Yeah.
Because, among other things, she got so many people to start reading again.
Yeah.
A lot of respect there.
Yeah, actually, that everybody's answering JK. So let me ask you a couple really quick questions. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Ooh. Think Star Wars, although I'm a big Star Trek fan too.
Okay. What do you think about the upcoming Doctor Strange movie?
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
I know there's a little controversy because Benedict Cumberbatch isn't like, the right ethnicity. Words, I write them better than I speak them.
Yeah.
But I'm still pretty excited about the movie.
Yeah, I actually got to see the first 15 minutes.
Yeah?
And it is mind-blowing. Think Inception on steroids.
Ooh, I like Inception too.
Yeah, great movie. So, Fantastical Beast, and where to find them?
Excited, very excited. I'm good with, branching out into the world and stuff. And people are like, oh, she's just trying to make more money. She's not trying to make more money, guys. She's got a lot of money.
Yeah,
she's trying to
exactly.
She's trying to please her fans.
Yeah, I agree. She is trying to please her fans. So, I mean, how many more billions can you? When you get to be a billionaire, I mean, it's like
whatever.
Yeah. So, Star Wars Rogue One.
I am also very excited about that. I really like what Disney did with Episode 7.
Yeah,
And
I did too.
I think if they can carry that along, Rogue One's going to be great.
Yeah, I agree. And tickets for Rogue One go on sale November the 7th. And rumor has it that we may get a teaser for Star Wars Episode 8. May. So stay tuned for that on Super Dave Raines and the Big Show. Well, J.A. Campbell, thank you for coming on to Big Show Entertainment Network, Super Dave Raines and the Big Show, special event at MileHi Con 2016 here at the Hyatt Regency. Good luck, and we'll be following you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for listening to the cast and everything.
Right. So for
Hi,
J.A. Campbell, I'm Super Dave Raines. Until next time, own the love. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Great
so
interview.
much. I really appreciate your time.